Hey guys, what's up? Nate Chai here, founder of Storywand, and joining me today, we have the absolute privilege of KymHamer, nailed it, the founder of Artemis Futures. Briefly, could you share with us what it is that Artemis Futures does?
Absolutely, Nate. Thanks for having me here today. So Artemis Futures was formed to help businesses solve a specific problem.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, what problem is that?
That's a very good question, Nate. So what we do at Artemis Futures is we look at businesses up to around the £100 million turnover. And what we see today when I speak to a lot of those businesses is that they are consumed with firefighting. They are so busy reacting to the immediate uncertainties in front of them that there are the trends that we hear about, such as AI, big data, talent mobility, are just not on their radar, and they have no headspace to actually even think about those things.
So, when it comes to dealing with future problems, have you seen businesses around that 100 million turnover mark be almost caught unawares by trends that have already been and gone?
Certainly. I mean, there are a number of high-profile examples of businesses not looking into the future. You can talk about Kodak is a really well-cited example of that. But there are smaller businesses that struggle with this as well. Talent, and particularly in the marketing and strategy arena, is becoming more and more mobile. This has always been a trend, but it is increasing.
When you say mobile, do you mean like they want to like telecommute, more remote workers?
There's two aspects to answering that question, Nate. So the first one is really about marketing and strategy employees tend to move around because they're wanting experience of different sectors. Businesses move them around as well.
So you mean moving around from business to business?
Sometimes business to business, sometimes within a business if it's big enough to get other experience. The other thing because of that is companies are looking further afield for talent. So that might mean your marketing or strategy team doesn't necessarily work in the same office as some of your other functions.
Right, because we live in a global world and we're more connected than ever. So
Correct.
if you want to build a strategy team or a marketing team, you can have someone in Brazil, you can have someone in America, you can have someone in the UK.
Absolutely. And that's really important when you're building a strategy or a long-term vision for a business. You can't sit in the UK and presume that you know everything there is to know about all of the customers you serve in the world. So being able to tap into those both mobile workers and those remote workers brings a richness to your strategy you wouldn't otherwise have.
So I've been around in business long enough to know that any problem that you're talking about and any problem that we've heard about is something that isn't a unique observation to you, right? In fact, there's probably loads of people who have noticed this trend of large £100 million businesses not being prepared for these seismic shifts in society. What is it about you and your business that makes your solutions unique and effective?
You're right in that this is not a new problem. I think it's been exacerbated because change is just coming faster and faster. And, leaders in businesses, the C-suite, are really struggling with why would I want to develop a 3-year vision when it could all change tomorrow? What Artemis Futures does is works with the C-suite to create a 3-year vision. Now, that might sound really counterintuitive given what I've just said, but it's about arming a business and its leaders to navigate that uncertainty. How do you do that? What questions do you ask? And how do you bring the rest of your team along.
How do you do that?
I know. Well, I wouldn't like to give away all my secrets here, Nate. But one of the things I've done a lot in the past is work with different types of businesses in different sectors, largely in the product industries, like the beverage industry, food. I have worked in the travel industry. You know, the businesses have the same challenges, and a lot of the time they are dealing with the same customer or consumer, and there are similar needs.
When you say you work with the whole C-suite, that seems like quite a rare thing to do. To have them all in the same room together and for you to be directing their plans. Why is it that you operate in that way?
So firstly, I'd say that I don't direct their plans. That's for them to create. What I do is actually work with them to create a picture of where they think that they want the business to be in 3 years' time. And that takes all of the people in the C-suite so that you are covering all the different elements of your business.
So to give an example, like you mentioned, trends like big data and AI have a huge impact on all areas of it. That's what you're saying, right?
Definitely. And at the heart of that is the customer. So I talked before about the marketing and strategy, the mobility of that particular talent. And the issue with that is that they are the people that are the custodians of that customer relationship. So it all starts with that. And if you're not keeping an eye on who your customers are and what their needs are, that puts you at risk. What I do with the C-suite is actually develop a 3-year vision of what their future might look like, who their customers might be, and what sort of needs will they need to be fulfilling for those customers, that creates a bulletproof plan for them to work to, regardless of where their talent moves or if the business expands or contracts. So you've still got a roadmap to delivering your future success.
There's so much to unpack in what you just said. So what several things I find fascinating. The first is this whole idea of the marketing team and the strategy team being the custodians of the customer. I kind of love that phrase because all the businesses in the world really need to be customer focused. And I think as well with the trends constantly changing, people as business owners, no matter at what scale, really struggle to understand, okay, where are we in this new landscape? Second of all, when you talk about remote workers and the mobility of talent, why is it that so many marketers and strategy people move around, first of all? And then how does having a C-suite vision protect businesses from the impact of the marketers and the strategists moving around?
Okay. So let me address the question of the mobility of marketers and strategists. Traditionally, this has been something that happens in marketing. Marketers look for experience in different industries, so they're looking to develop their transferable skill set. Sometimes they work for bigger organisations that have an interest in moving them around the business. So they might not stay in marketing, they might go off and work in sales or other parts of the business and then come back into marketing. So there's this cycle of movement with marketing, and I think more lately with strategy. I think the other thing with those two types of employees, they tend to be quite curious. They're exploring things. They're interested in the wider world. So they are naturally looking outside the business environment. So I think that's why there's movement. I don't think it's a new trend, but I think it's being accelerated because of uncertainty and changes in businesses.
So it's not a people problem. It's really a problem within the businesses and how they're run. Is it a management problem?
Well, to a degree, I think what can happen, particularly in these sizes of businesses that I'm talking about, so up to 100 million, sometimes there's not the room to move these people around, to give them greater scope. So they look for it elsewhere. Shall I answer your second question now about the C-suite?
Yeah,
I can do that.
I'd love to hear it.
So with regard to the impact on the C-suite, what building this 3-year vision of the customer does is it means everybody's on board. It means that you're talking to a wider audience in your business, you're bringing people along. So when people drop out of that process, it's not this huge challenge. You're not having to go back to square one. You're not having to redefine your customer based on someone new coming into the business, and you can maintain the momentum as you're looking at how your customers evolve and how their needs are evolving.
Well, that's a fascinating way of providing value to businesses. If these guys want to get in contact with you, how can they reach you, Kym?
They can reach me via KymHamer at artemisfutures.co.uk.
How do I spell KymHamer?
KymHamer, always a question. So that's K-Y-M, Kym with a Y, and Hamer, H-A-M-E-R.
Thank you so much. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think what I'd like to add, Nate, is that my real passion for this is providing these businesses with the capability. It's easy to come in and just offer a solution and walk away. But what I'm really interested in doing is working with C-suite teams and businesses to build the capability and tools for their success within their business and within their people.
Cool. Thanks, Kym.
My pleasure, Nate. Thanks.